Part 150. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1501. They ran for a long distance in one breath, and the two of them couldn't run any more, but they didn't dare to rest, so they pushed forward and walked a long way. In the end, I couldn't walk any more, and I didn't even have the strength to take a step. Panting for breath, Huang Logui collapsed on the edge of the river beach. He didn't mind the crushing stones under him, and lay flat motionless. Tang Tang was not much better. She sat down, exhausted, only felt that her legs were no longer hers, and she didn't even have the strength to lift her fingers. The two of them did not speak for a long time. The black kitten got out of the pet bag, tentatively came to the river, wet its paws, shook its fur, and licked water gently. The river water in autumn is very shallow, and it seems to be dry. At a glance, there are pebbles all over the place, crowded together messily and neatly, glowing grayish-white in the sun. Tang Tang slowed down for a while, got up and walked slowly to the river, buried her body like a cat, let the cold river water flow into her mouth, swallowed slowly, gurgling down her throat. She finally felt alive again. The old Huang ghost over there also sat up, and seemed to want to drink water, but he couldn't move. On such a cold day, he was sweating all over, and the sparse hair on his head was glued into strands and strands of sweat, which draped over his scalp, making him embarrassed and ridiculous. There was a long silence. After resting enough, Tang Tang asked him, "Why did you come?" "I've been staring at him for several days." Huang Logui took a breath and said, "He's not Taoist Master Miao Qing. I wanted to find an opportunity to expose him, invite credit and earn some money to spend, but this grandson pretended to be a fool. It's so similar. If I really go to expose him, he will definitely beat me up. Maybe he will kill me. I can't beat him. Huang Logui is bald and fat, and he really doesn't seem to have any fighting power." Tang Tang grinned, wanting to laugh a little. "How do you know he's not?" Old Ghost Huang gave Tang Tang a look, letting her experience it for herself. Tang Tang didn't know how to understand it, so she picked up a handful of water and wiped her face, hands, and arms in a leisurely manner. The water was so cold that she wanted to shiver, but it also made her mind clearer. Seeing that she was ignoring him, Old Ghost Huang sighed a bit self-indulgently. "Of course I know he isn't. Taoist Miao Qing is my elder brother, can I not recognize him?" Tang Tang nodded. "Understood. You heard that Taoist Miao Qing came to Qingjiang, and you wanted to take advantage of it, but you didn't expect that the other party was a counterfeit. You wanted to expose him, but at the same time you were afraid of him. It would be a bit rude to ignore him reconciled, so sneaking and hiding in the dark, wanting to see if there is any chance to catch the leak. It's almost like this, but I didn't want to take advantage at the beginning. Sigh, I have been kicked out of the teacher a long time ago. What can I take advantage of? I just feel that I have not seen him for more than 10 years, and I am a little curious, and I want to see what he looks like now." Huang Logui sighed for a while, then happily pulled the Taoist's backpack into his arms, flipped through the bag, and said, "This is mine. It's called Black Eating Black. Praying mantis catches cicada, and oriole is behind. Ha ha ha, wow. My God, there are so many good things. The ghost-killing stick made of thunderwood." Huang Logui was playing with the ghost-shaping stick in his hand, a little excited. Tang Tang showed disgust, and said coldly, "Stay away from me." Huang Logui smiled mischievously, put away the ghost-shaping stick, and looked at her with greedy eyes. You ran back just now. What treasure did you pick up? Show me it." Tang Tang thought for a while, and took out the bell from his pocket to show him. Huang Logui's eyes lit up, and he hurried over with his bag on his shoulders. Before he could take a closer look, Tang Tang took the bell in another hand and kept away from him. "Oh, I saved your life anyway, Please show me a little closer. Huang Logui said, we are both degenerates in the world now, I will definitely not harm you, besides, even if I want to, I don't have that ability either. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1502. Tang Tang sneered upon hearing this. She can't believe anyone now. However, the second part of Huang Logui's words is quite correct, he really has no skills, not to mention he is as tired as a dead dog, trembling after 2 steps, how can he have the extra strength to catch her? Tang Tang held the bell in the palm of his hand and put it in front of Huang Logui's eyes, you can only look at it, but you are not allowed to touch it. Oh, I got it, I won't touch it. Huang Logui put his hands behind his back, bowed his waist, squinted his eyes, and looked at the bell in circles. As he watched, he clicked his tongue. Tang Tang asked him, did you see what's going on? Huang Logui said solemnly, this bell is not an ordinary bell. Tang Tang, oh. He gestured to withdraw his hand. Hey. I haven't finished yet, Huang Logui stopped her, I mean, this bell is not a complete bell, it should be one of a series of bells. Tang Tang frowned slightly, and looked at the bell in his hand. The rusty and dark ancient bronze ware, some of the raised parts of the patterns were rubbed brightly, with a dark purple metallic color. Can't see anything special. But she knew that this thing was very powerful, more evil than her dagger, so no matter how big the risk was, she had to get it in her hand, otherwise she couldn't feel at ease. Huang Logui explained to her, listen to me, Taoism was very prosperous in ancient times, and there were many factions. Each of these factions has its own housekeeping skills. Some are good at alchemy, and some are good at talisman. There are quite a few baby pies, and one of them is a kind of bell. He turned his voice slightly, laughed twice, squinted his eyes and looked at the bell in Tang Tang's hand, and then said, it is said that it is a magic weapon for exorcism and catching ghosts. The biggest main bell is dedicated to Zhong Kui. Fierce ghosts, because they are good at eating little ghosts, the people worship them in awe and worship them. Since then, they have been using incense and changed from evil gods to yin gods. There are 4 small bells under the main bell, dedicated to the evil gods of the 4 directions. Below the bells of the evil gods, there is a string of a smaller bell, the size of a broad bean, contains little ghosts serving evil gods. After saying this, Huang Logui moved closer and sniffed lightly. Tisk, it smells like death. It's unmistakable. That guy must have stolen it from some tomb. The one in your hand should be a bell dedicated to the evil god of the West. Tang Tang frowned and said nothing. Huang Logui seemed to see through her thoughts, and said slowly, you don't need to worry, the hundreds of years old objects have long been scattered and scattered. If he can find this bell, it is considered a treasure. The grand prize is here, even if someone actually picks up the other bells, they may not know what it is for, let alone come to arrest you. If you want to catch it, it depends on whether you have the ability. Tang Tang snorted disdainfully. This time, if it wasn't for the fact that she lived in a dangerous place, she might not have been recruited. Huang Logui laughed, showing half of his golden teeth, yo, you are amazing, you have the ability, then why are you doing so miserably now? Quite gloating. Tang Tang glanced at him blankly, but didn't hide it, Gu Liang has a strange thing growing on his hand. I don't want him to treat it, so he doesn't want me. Huang Logui was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized, oh, you mean that dark thing. Tang Tang blinked, you know. Before I was called to see a doctor for a benefactor, but at the time I was covering my face, I didn't expect it to be him. Huang Logui thought for a while, frowned and muttered, I just don't understand foreign things, what black magic, necromancer, witch's curse, alchemy, oh, I don't understand, I don't understand. He looked up at Tang Tang, and asked curiously, do you have a solution? Tang Tang bent down, hugged her cat into her arms, stroked it gently, and said in a low voice, "I'm not sure." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1503. Huang Logui looked puzzled. Are you not sure? Can it be cured? Tang Tang petted the cat, feeling very depressed. I'm already like this now, it doesn't matter if it can be cured or not. Oh, how can it be indifferent? Huang Logui was anxious. If you don't want to be cured, you can tell me, I will cure him, and I can make some money. She glanced at the old ghost Huang, pursed her lips, and said, I'm really not sure, that thing is weird, it grows along the veins and blood vessels of the body, and the direction of growth is toward the heart. I guess, when it reaches the heart, it will quickly spread to the whole body along with the blood vessels, sucking up all the blood and water in the body. Huang Logui nodded when he heard the words, and told her what he knew. When I went, several mages had already used the exorcism talisman water, which slowed down the speed of the spread, but the effect was not great. I was thinking, since the exorcism, if the talisman water has an effect, it means that no matter how different it looks, it is still a kind of evil, right? Well, I thought so at first, it would be good to absorb it as evil, but after eating it a few times, it became more active. Tang Tang sighed, and said quietly, it feels like a plant. The parts I ate were just its branches and leaves. It seemed that I ate it and made it smaller. In fact, the roots are still growing and becoming more and more mature, unless eat its roots, otherwise it's of no use. This is the case with many plants. Cutting off branches and leaves can concentrate nutrients to the main stem, which in turn makes the plant stronger. And what Tang Tang has been doing all along is like cutting leeks. Once you cut a crop, you will grow another crop. Thinking of Gu Liang's arm, she was both puzzled and worried, and murmured, actually, there is another way, which is more risky, and I haven't tried it. Ah, old ghost Huang interrupted her suddenly, and said with excited eyes, I know how to cure it. Tang Tang was slightly stunned, her eyes widened. Didn't you just say that you can eat it smaller? Huang Logui stretched out his hand and gestured on his arm. For example, it was originally at the elbow, but you ate it to the wrist, and then crack. He was in high spirits. Cut off that hand, and never have any future troubles. How about it? Isn't my method particularly good? Tang Tang. What's your expression? Huang Logui asked. Tang Tang was silent, lowered her head and continued to pet the cat. It's nothing. No one cheered. Huang Logui felt a little resentful. After the two of them rested enough by the river beach, Huang Logui asked Tang Tang again, what are your plans for the future? Tang Tang shook her head, I don't know. Why don't you go back to the ghost village with me? Huang Logui said, look, you are an evil god now, and you are an evil god without a master. It's not appropriate to wander around. If you let the evil ways see you, it's like a wild dog seeing a piece of braised pork walking on the street, who wouldn't be greedy? Hey, do you understand what I mean? Tang Tang frowned and remained silent. The old ghost Huang continued, when I go back to the ghost village, I will help you find a good buyer, and I will guarantee you a good life. While talking, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, and he suddenly smiled, yes. Old ghost Huang stopped talking and walked around Tang Tang, smiling from ear to ear. His smile with half of his gold teeth made Tang Tang feel terrified, and asked uncomfortably, what's the matter? Huang Logui smiled and said, I won't go back to the ghost village. Let's play a big game. In ancient times, there were martial arts competitions to recruit relatives. We also set up a ring, so that all the rich and powerful people in the world stand in front of you, And you can choose. You whoever you want to raise, let whoever raises you. If you meet someone pleasing to the eye, maybe you can pick a good husband. After he finished speaking, his smile became more and more obscene, and he stretched out 3 fingers. After the matter is completed, I will share the money I earn with 30%. Tang Tang hugged the cat and thought about it, then nodded, okay. A character who always only plays at critical moments, his meaning is more than just a character. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1504. Murong Cheng had previously left a few people outside Gu's residence to guard Tang Tang in turn, so after Tang Tang was kicked out, Murong Cheng got the news immediately. He was not interested in interfering in the quarrel between the couple, and ordered his subordinates to keep watching, but he didn't expect that there would be heavy fog in the middle of the night, and his people would lose Tang Tang. People are gone, so naturally they have to look for them. Murong Cheng was on guard against Tang Tang because he didn't want her to disturb his current life, so he arranged for people to guard all the train stations, airports, and ports. But it's not an option to keep watch all the time. How can Gu Liang help him watch and worry? Murong Cheng called Gu Liang, who told me back then? Why do you become a member of your Gu family when you get married? Please don't waste time in your house. Gu Liang, you are so rude. Drive her away. You are happy now, I have to worry about it here. Gu Liang held the phone and didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, it should still be in Xinjiang, I will send someone to help you find it. What do you mean help me find it? Murong Cheng ran on him, 1 day husband and wife, 100 days of grace. In fact, you are also thinking about it in your heart, right? Sigh, I just don't know if people miss you. How did I hear that she was kicked out? After I came out, I immediately went to find Muzening's grave. Tisk tisk, it seems that I still think Muzening is good. Pudgy. Gu Liang hung up there. Murong Cheng collapsed on the sofa and was so happy that he almost burst into tears. Muzi I looked at him like he was insane. I told you to ask him where Tang Tang went, why are you still praising Muzening? Murong Cheng smiled and said, Gu Liang's over, he's not like me, he's put on airs since he was a child, and he can't let it go for too long, knowing that he's no better than a dead person. Now I don't know what to do. I'm so angry that I bleed internally. Muzi I listened and thought about it too. Murong Cheng has been around outside since he was a child, so his personality is unavoidably naughty, while Gu Liang has been stable since he was a child, young and mature, looks young and handsome, but because of his mature and stable temperament, he always feels much older than his peers. When I was 20, I felt like 30, and when I was 30, I still felt like 30. She couldn't help sighing. Actually, it's really unnecessary. Although Tang Tang is smart, things like feelings can't be learned by being smart. Sometimes, how can we tell the difference between family love and friendship? For example, you and I have been married for so many years. You said, is there more family affection between us, or more love? I love you. Murong admitted that he was really thinking, and his tone was long and slow. Of course it's the endless flesh desire. Muzi I. After taking a few deep breaths, she looked at her husband almost desperately. How can you be so shameless? Murong Cheng hugged her and kissed her, and said with a smile, you can only catch up with you if you're shameless. Look at Gu Liang, it's because you're too shameless that you lost your wife, right? Muzi I was unmoved, and looked at Murong Cheng with a sneer. Hearing what you mean, being shameless is actually an advantage. Murong Cheng held her shoulders and leaned back, and raised his legs comfortably. Didn't you always say that you should pay attention to the value of your heart? Manly man, why do you want face? Superficial. You must be poor. Muzi I angrily kicked his leg off. I told you 100 times, Don't put your feet on the tea table. Murong Cheng's feet hung in the air for a moment, just in time for the twins to play on the edge of the sofa, stepping on one side with each foot, just right. The poor 3-year-old thought his dad was playing a game with them and felt no humiliation. Muzi was so angry that she picked up one and shouted, "Mom!" Bai Wei ran over upon hearing the sound, and quickly picked up the other one, "Rong Cheng. Such a child will not grow taller. Oh my dear grandson, let's ignore the smelly dad, let's go out to play." Muzi pondered for a moment, then walked out with his son in his arms. "Come on, let's go play with grandpa and ignore smelly dad." Murong Cheng's face suddenly changed. "What grandfather? Muzi, come back to me. Speak clearly. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1505. Murong Cheng's people and Guliang's people are all looking for Tang Tang. After this search, there was no news for a whole month. During this month, something happened to Guliang, the evil things in his hands reappeared, and they no longer just floated on the surface of the skin. They grew out of the flesh and blood, with a mouth and teeth, just like me do. Sha full of poisonous snakes. The only difference is that Medusa's snake grows on his head, while his snake grows on his hands. It happened one afternoon, he was restless and took a walk in the garden to relieve his mood. A gray bird flew over, stopped and walked, and rested in the grass 2 or 3 meters away, bowing its head to peck from time to time. The mutation appeared at this time. He suddenly felt the blood vessels in his right wrist pulsating, and looking down, he saw a few black shadows jumping out from his right hand. "Rap that bullfinch as fast as lightning." Within 2 seconds, the gray bird stopped struggling. In another 3 to 5 seconds, the gray bird turned into a shriveled corpse, with a few pieces of feathers scattered around, without a single drop of blood. Seeing this scene, the servant not far away was so frightened that he fainted. And these black snake shadows seemed to have more to say, twisting their bodies, tentatively stretching towards the fainted servant. Guliang realized what they were trying to do, and frowned deeply. Snake Shadow seemed to be able to receive his signal, and slowly retracted reluctantly, sinking into the skin, like a dynamic black tattoo, slowly wriggling on his arm. Guliang remembered Tang Tang once said that they are ripening. So, is this their mature form? It turned out that the Taoist did not cure him. The Taoist priest has long since disappeared. Guliang sent someone to investigate, and found out that there was indeed a Baiyun temple on Yangzia mountain, and there was indeed a Taoist Miaoqing in the Baiyun temple. The Taoist Miaoqing went out and wandered, and no one knew where he was. Tongwu searched for a long time, and finally found an old photo of the Taoist Miaoqing, and found that his appearance was completely different. After Guliang found out, her heart was numb and she didn't know what it was like. Ever since this evil thing got on his arm, countless quacks have been looking for them, and they are so used to being numb with disappointment. But this Taoist priest didn't seek fame and wealth. If the motive for appearing was not for healing, it could only have something to do with Tang Tang. Now the Taoist is gone, and Tang Tang is gone too. It is impossible to say not to worry. It's just that every time I worry about it for a while, I feel ridiculous. What the hell is he? He manages step by step in his life, take 1 step, others see 3 steps, he needs to watch 10 steps, and the relationship also needs to be measured, embellishment is enough, and it can't be overdone. Now, he was provoked by a brat who didn't understand bullshit, worrying about gains and losses every day, like a stunned young man. It's not that he didn't consider her identity, it's not that he didn't know the hidden dangers of leaving her behind, it's just that once her stickiness came up, he couldn't do anything about it. Sometimes thinking about it, it's rare to be confused in life, and it's not impossible to live in such a muddle. The funny thing is, he found out in the end that he was a substitute. When she stared at him obsessively, who was she looking at? When she acted like a baby softly, who was she thinking about? When she first married him, she talked in her sleep at night and murmured Musening's name, but he didn't hear clearly at that time, but only now did she understand that she never forgot about that person. For a man with a successful career and a bit of conceit, there is probably nothing more humiliating and self-respecting than his wife thinking about another man. Tongwu knocked on the door lightly, came in from the outside, and said in a low voice, "It's been arranged." The servant thought she was dazzled, and said thank you for paying her to see a doctor. The doctor also said hello. Diagnostic proof of fatigue. Gu Liang pressed the center of his brows, and let out a hum. Tongwu was not at ease, looked at Gu Liang's face, and asked cautiously, "Do you need to dismiss the servants at home? Just in case next time." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1506. If you dismiss it, it will arouse suspicion. There is no silver 300 taels here. Gu Liang sighed silently. Fortunately, it is not completely out of control. This hand, unless you are very hungry, is still obedient. Gu Liang took off the black leather gloves, revealing his right hand that was stained with ink. The image of the snake on the skin was dormant, and his body moved slowly, like breathing. You said. Gu Liang opened his mouth slowly, with an indifferent expression, or else, cut it off. Tongwu's face changed drastically, and he said anxiously, "Master. Since this thing has not harmed your body for the time being, let's think of a way. Maybe there will be a turnaround." Gu Liang was silent, and said lightly, "Yes, for no reason, who would want to lose a hand?" He thought for a moment, and said to Tongwu, "Go and get some white mice, forget it, rabbits, let's raise some rabbits in the garden." Although they are not eating by themselves, they are still connected to their own bodies. The thought of feeding them mice, well, disgusting. Tongwu immediately arranged it, and put 7 or 8 rabbits in the garden the next day, and found another person to enclose a piece of land in the garden, saying that he wanted to build a farmhouse, and after it was built, he could raise some chickens and ducks. The servants looked at each other. Farmhouse music really doesn't seem to be Gu Liang's taste, but since the chief manager ordered them to do so, they had no choice but to follow suit. Tongwu also listed a few new rules. For example, only when Gu Liang is not at home can he go to the second floor to clean, and at any other time, he is not allowed to go to the second floor. On the surface, a servant was not dismissed, but the scope of the servant's activities was virtually restricted to avoid what happened last time. Gu Liang and the evil thing in his hand got along fairly well. After a long time, he gradually figured out some rules. There are a total of 8 snake shadows, basically the same thickness, but each stretches to a different length. The longest snake shadow can extend to 6 meters, and the shortest is about 4 meters. When it is not stretched, the 8 snake shadows hang on his hand. It looks like, probably a black squid. They are dormant most of the time, active about 2 hours a day. These 2 hours may be during the day or at night, but if Gu Liang arranges the time in advance and let them come out, it can ensure that they will not suddenly come out to make trouble in the next time. Of course, if you are extremely hungry, they may come out at any time, and Gu Liang can't control it, and you can't even take it back. Rabbits, chickens, and ducks have been fed, tried to feed fish, they are not interested. Gu Liang endured his nausea, and asked someone to get some beetles, spiders, lizards, frogs, etc., and wanted to try their taste. Thank goodness they don't. It seems that it only sucks the essence, energy, and blood of warm-blooded animals. The appetite was also tested by Gu Liang. If you feed them once a day, maybe because they are not too hungry, they will eat and play while eating. The whole chicken coop is flying around, biting here and there, and more than 20 chickens are tossed half to death, and they are about to become crazy. The rooster crows in the middle of the night. If it is fed once every 2 or 3 days, it will feel just right, and it will sleep when it is full, and it will not make a fuss. If the number of days apart exceeds 5 days, accidents are prone to occur. They will run out uncontrollably, like crazy hungry beasts, looking for food all over the world. As long as they see a living thing, they will pounce on it no matter what it is. Once, Gu Liang wanted to try their limits, so he didn't feed them for 5 consecutive days. On the 6th day, they rushed out in a hurry, caught a mouse on the balcony, and instantly sucked it into a mousepiece. But the servant said that recently the family used a new type of contraceptive rat poison, which would cause the mice to be infertile. It was safer and more environmentally friendly than the previous high-toxic rat poison, and would not pollute the environment. After Gu Liang heard the news, he felt uncomfortable for many days. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1507. This month, Gu Liang has been fighting wits with his right hand. The purpose of doing various experiments is of course not simply to feed them, but to find weaknesses. It's impossible to cut with a knife, they are strips of black mist, and all physical attacks are meaningless. If water is poured, water will pass through their bodies, but they obviously repel water. If the prey falls into the water, they will stop chasing. Of course, if they are very hungry, this principle will be broken. Fire, this is more interesting. They actually like fire, their bodies move back and forth in the flames, and the sparks that come out burn several holes in Gu Liang's sleeves. On the surface, the head of the Gu family is still so calm, going in and out of the company as usual every day, doing business, discussing projects, everything is in order. In fact, Gu Liang felt that his life had been turned upside down. Absurd. Dumbfounding. At the end of December, Murong Cheng called, "Are you going to Under the Rose this year?" At this time, Gu Liang was sitting by the fireplace and reading documents. He was holding a stack of documents in his left hand, and 8 snake shadows were playing in the fire with his right hand. The carbon ash was flying around and fell on the snow-white document paper. He shook as if nothing had happened. Opened my mouth and wanted to say nothing, but swallowed the words back. He silently recalled it. Murong Cheng's tone of voice just now seemed a bit gloating. "Are there any new tricks this year?" Gu Liang asked lightly. Murong Cheng said, "I heard that this year's auction items are very special. The finale auction is a chance for the evil god to recognize the owner. Whoever wins will be the owner of the evil god. I don't know how many evil gods there are in the world. Maybe it's a coincidence, but at this juncture, I just can't find anyone." Gu Liang's face darkened. She was captured by people from Under the Rose. Whether I was arrested or went voluntarily, I don't know. The invitation letter is quite mysterious. It can connect the two worlds of yin and yang, and the townhouse will drive away evil spirits to keep you safe. It doesn't mention anything else, even I didn't write the gender, but I think it's better to inform you. After all, we have been friends for so many years, and I can't bear to look at your silent green grassland, can I? Murong Cheng's tone was full of concern, and there was sarcasm hidden in that concern. "Gu Liang, don't worry, I will only recognize you as my sister-in-law in my life." Before the words finished, Mu Zi warned in a low voice from the other end of the phone, "Murong Cheng." There was another child's cry, "In a mess," and then the phone was hung up. Gu Liang. He sat silently for a while, then got up suddenly, strode to the desk and opened the drawer. Under the Rose, this is a black market-like gathering that specializes in auctioning the most expensive and rare items, and is only open to the upper class. Countless dignitaries are proud to receive invitations from Under the Rose. With Gu Liang's current status, he naturally received it. But how could he be in the mood to participate in the auction now? Therefore, this invitation letter has been kept in the drawer since it was received, without even looking at it. Gu Liang opened the invitation letter, and followed the introduction of the auction item, reading item by item, feeling extremely complicated. No wonder there is no news of her. If it was under the Rose's forces, it would be very difficult for him or Murong Cheng to find clues. But, why is she going there? Gu Liang propped himself on the edge of the table, his chest was oppressed. If she was captured, he would naturally not sit idly by. But if she chooses voluntarily, I want to find another master to replace Mu Zhenning and him, to love her and take care of her, so does he still need to go? Just like what Murong Cheng said, once you've been on the shelf for a long time, it's hard to put it down. Knowing that the woman loves another man in her heart, but she still has the cheek to pursue and save him, and then say to her, I don't mind. How is this possible? He can't do it. Thus, Gu Liang made the stupidest decision in his life. He raised his hand, picked out one of the 8 snake shadows, and said to himself, let's draw lots, the long one goes, the short one doesn't go. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1508. Then I got one that was neither too long nor too short. Medium. Gu Liang looked at them and sighed helplessly, are you letting me make my own decision? Basiao was dangling in the air, without communication consciousness. Gu Liang closed his eyes with a headache, Sibi. I don't know who I'm scolding. Here, Murong Cheng hung up the phone, and Mu Zi expressed his anger, every time I ask you to call to talk about something, why is it so difficult? Can't you be more distracted? I already treat him as my sister-in-law, isn't that enough to distract me? Mu Zi was so angry that she wanted to hit someone. Ah. That's right, you're really distracted when you hurt someone. I asked you to persuade him to go to the auction, did you persuade him? Didn't say a word. Murong Cheng comforted her, don't worry, Gu Liang will definitely go, I even told the green grassland, unless he is not a man, how can he bear it? Mu Zi had already given up on talking to him, and made a decision directly, get your luggage ready, we'll go to Under the Rose too. Murong Cheng was stunned. Mu Zi looked serious, if Gu Liang doesn't go, we will pay to buy Tang Tang back. In short, no matter what, we can't let her fall into the wrong hands. What if the new owner is a drug dealer like Bai Jinyan? She has no opinion at all, she will do anything to please the master. Murong Cheng fixedly looked at Mu Zi. He suddenly realized that he was wrong and forgot that his wife was the goddess of justice. I'll call Gu Liang again to make sure he will definitely attend the auction. We've already booked a family trip to Europe at the end of the year. Cancel Mu Zi resolutely refused, I just thought about it, it's hard to talk about the relationship, even if Gu Liang goes, it may not be able to solve the problem, maybe the two of them will quarrel, I have to go there personally, otherwise, I don't feel relieved, let Mom and Pete take the children for the parent-child tour. Without waiting for Murong Cheng to persuade her again, Mu Zi got up and left to take care of the child. Bai Wei passed by, and looked at the two worriedly, Zi, you and Rong Cheng are the closest. It's okay, Mom. Mu Zi exhaled, her tone was extremely tired, maybe it's the 7-year itch. Murong Cheng on the sofa completely darkened his face, and shouted angrily, what 7-year itch? Mu Zi, come back to me. Speak clearly. Under the rose, the literal understanding is under the rose, but it is actually an allusion with secret and private meanings. The allusion comes from Roman mythology. Rich people always want to find some interesting things, but they think the black market is rough and messy, so such a seemingly elegant gathering gradually appeared, providing the most top-notch services and the most exotic products for the rich and famous. People who can run this kind of business are naturally powerful and mysterious. If Murong Cheng and Gu Liang knew that old man Huang was able to get online with these people, they would be very surprised. These days, Huang Logui has been taking Tang Tang around to buy, repurchasing all the clothes and jewelry, and spending all his money. Tang Tang didn't like the new clothes, so she stood in front of the mirror, touched the neckline, and said, "It's very troublesome to wear, and my neck is too tight." This is an attire from the late Qing dynasty, with fat clothes and wide sleeves, clouded shoulders, and fringe. The peacock blue background is matched with layers of trimmings. The skirt bottom, and cuffs are all embroidered with different patterns. Tang Tang couldn't understand it, it was very complicated anyway. The old ghost Huang hurriedly chattered around her, coaxing, "Trouble is trouble, but it looks good. Look, how beautiful and imposing. I will ask the tailor to loosen your neckline later, and I won't strangle you gone." Tang Tang shook her head impatiently, the head is also very heavy. "Oh, my ancestor, please slow down." Huang Logui's heart ached, and he held her pearl hairpin and gold hairpin. "It's all money." "What about this? Why did you ask me to take a towel?" Tang Tang frowned. "It's so troublesome to hold it in your hand all the time, this clothes doesn't even have a pocket." Huang Logui persuaded earnestly, "This is a handkerchief, you have such big sleeves, what pocket do you need?" Tang Tang touched his sleeves and found that he could hold a lot, so he finally calmed down a bit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1509. Old Ghost Huang saw that she was swinging the handkerchief back and forth, it was really not in a good shape, so he simply refused to let her take it, and bought a round fan in the store and stuffed it in her hand. The round fan with the pattern of begonias, flowers, and butterflies on Kessie, the handle is carved with ebony flowers, so the price is naturally not cheap. After paying for Tang Tang's outfit, Huang Logui felt that his body was about to be hollowed out. "I can't bear the fact that children can't be caught by wolves. In this day and age, packaging is very important, and you dress like a Barbie doll. Who would treat you as an evil god? Or is this outfit full of heritage, like an immortal female zombie who has lived for 180 years? Huang Logui chanted, as if trying to convince himself. Tang Tang fanned her fan in front of the mirror, looking at it while fanning, and she was quite satisfied. She likes this fan very much. After buying for Tang Tang, old man Huang also wants to buy for himself. He bought a suit, shiny shoes, and pretended to buy a pipe to hold in his mouth, making him look even greasy. "Tang, look at what we should buy. We have almost bought it," Huang Logui discussed with her with a smile. "Next, should we choose a good name?" Tang Tang looked puzzled, "But I have a name." "Not imposing enough," Huang Logui said, "you are an evil god, and you are called by Tang Tang. Tang Tang, where is your majesty?" Tang Tang pouted, not cooperating with him. "I don't want to change my name. Is it okay to just change one word? Here, look at the crabapple flower on this fan, it's called begonia, how about it?" Huang Logui tried his best to coax her. "Tang Tang is a nickname, it should be reserved for your last name." Those close to me called out, "Let's wander outside, we have to use our names." Tang Tang thought for a while and thought it made sense. She nodded and agreed, "Well, I also think it's weird every time you call me. From now on, you can call me Haitang." The corner of Huang Logui's mouth twitched. The venue of the Under the Rose rally is on a world-class luxury cruise ship. It is not so much a cruise ship as it is a sea city. It is 360 meters long and 150 meters wide and can carry more than 6,000 people. It has theaters, casinos, shops, swimming pools, open-air parks, and landing pads for helicopters. It is no exaggeration to say that all entertainment requirements can be met here. On the day when the rally started, rich people from various countries who were invited boarded the ship one after another, and then the cruise ship would sail into the high seas and leave the scope of legal jurisdiction. Sailors are usually arranged to board the ship one day earlier. When boarding the boat, Huang Logui kept telling Tang Tang, "Use your fan to cover your face, cover your face." Tang Tang did as he did, only showing a pair of eyes, looking around curiously, as if entering a new world. A giant nearly 3 meters tall slowly walked past her. Tang Tang was so startled that his eyes almost fell out. She stared at the giant's shoes, and then looked down at her own. She estimated that her feet were only a quarter of his feet. "Why is he so tall? Why is he wearing shackles?" Tang Tang asked Huang Logui. Huang Logui was about to say that this was someone else's slave, but Tang Tang was attracted by other things. "Is that kind of thing also for sale? Don't you think it's disgusting?" A bearded foreigner held a glass cover in his hand, and inside the glass cover was a slug about 20 centimeters long, peach pink, and very bright in color. Old Ghost Huang explained to her in a low voice, "That's a red slug, which is about to become extinct. It's not easy to find one. Don't look at it disgustingly, it will glow pink at night." A black mastiff suddenly appeared head-on. There are actually 3 heads. Tang Tang's face was pale, and before he had time to dodge, the mastiff had already seen her. His eyes were scarlet, and 2 of the 3 heads were barking at her. Its owner and the ship's staff immediately grabbed the dog's leash and took the dog to the lower deck. Old Ghost Huang comforted Tang Tang, "Don't be afraid, it's just a freak dog, and sometimes people give birth to babies with 2 heads." It took Tang Tang a long time to make a sound, almost crying, "I want to get off the boat, I won't participate in the auction. This place is horrible. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1510. Having reached this point, how can there be any reason to retreat on the spot? Huang Logui tried to persuade Tang Tang in his ear. Tang Tang was not willing to listen. She pursed her lips, and looked up. -15 decks were advancing layer by layer in front of her eyes, as magnificent as a huge fortress, which was amazing. But wanting to stay in this huge monster for the next few days, far away from the land, I can't help but feel fear in my heart. "You are an evil god, how can you be afraid?" "They should be afraid of you, not you," Huang Logui said. Tang Tang replied angrily, "Why can't I be afraid? You can still become ghosts when you die, and I'll be gone when I die. I'll be gone." Old Ghost Huang. Seems to make sense. More and more people boarded the boat. Tang Tang stopped making trouble, and followed Huang Logui into the cabin. The interior decoration resembles a luxury hotel. The first to 5th floors are restaurants, casinos, theaters, and other entertainment projects, but now they don't have time to go shopping, so they take the elevator directly to the guest rooms on the upper floor. They lived in a suite with a living room. Tang Tang slept in the bedroom, and Huang Logui slept in the living room. Because the direction of the room is inward, you can't see the sea, but through the floor-to-ceiling windows, you can see the huge oasis garden in the center of the cruise ship, which is full of tropical flowers, shrubs, and extremely tall palm trees from the Caribbean. Tang Tang stood in front of the window and looked at it curiously. She had never seen these plants before. Huang Logui hurriedly packed his luggage, saw the black cat jumped onto the sofa, and waved it away. "It's real leather. If I scratch it, I won't have any money to pay for it." Meow. The little black cat jumped down and scratched the tassels of the floor-to-ceiling curtains. The old man Huang shook his head and sighed, "Too lazy to care." Tang Tang looked outside and murmured, "It's so quiet. There are no crowds, no traffic, and even the wind seems to be inaudible. Tomorrow will be lively." Huang Logui came over, opened half of the window, and took a deep breath, as if feeling the atmosphere of luxury and pleasure here. He said, wait until tomorrow, and you will know what luxury is. Everyone who comes here will enjoy the best everything in the world, the top cuisine, the most beautiful women, the most exciting performances, and the most exciting games, unrestrained, completely indulgent. This place is like a paradise. Heaven. Tang Tang couldn't comprehend the word concretely, and asked, then what would hell look like? This is hell too, Huang Logui laughed. Tang Tang blinked her eyes and looked at him puzzled. For some people, this is indeed heaven, but for others, this is indeed hell. He chuckled twice. You will understand later. Tang Tang seems to understand but not understand. The next day, as buyers arrived one after another, the cruise ship became bustling. There are only more than 200 real patrons, but the patrons will be accompanied by at least a dozen assistants, attendants, bodyguards, etc., plus performers, chefs, bartenders, bands, and glamorous girls who provide services for the patrons anytime and anywhere. In this way, there are thousands more people. The beauties are like clouds, and there are staggered cups of wine, and everything you can see is singing and dancing. When it is near the port, it is no different from an ordinary sightseeing cruise ship, but when it enters the open sea area, everything starts to change. Muzi was very uncomfortable. She had been to the entertainment city run by Murong Cheng. She thought it was already very sensual, but she didn't expect this place to be even worse. She has seen several common faces in the news, all of whom are elegant and humble gentlemen and celebrities, but here they can blatantly molest the waitress, which is simply unsightly. Murong Cheng was not surprised. Humans, there is always a dark side. Maybe pick a few days throughout the year, do what you want to do but dare not do in normal times, satisfy some evil factors, and have a good time. Muzi still felt disgusted. She saw the man buried his whole face in the waitress's chest, and cursed unbearably. A hooligan is a hooligan. What excuses are you looking for?